Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to NASNPRO TV. Today's topic is the missing link skin health testing for better client outcomes. What we're going to be talking today is about recent discoveries that are transforming our understanding of skin health. This shift offers estheticians the opportunity to move beyond surface treatments and address root causes of skin concerns by focusing on the skin's microbiome. My name is Emily Stutzman, and I am the licensed esthetician for Dakota Biotech. And I am thrilled you are joining me today as we embark on a little science lesson together. So let's get started. All right, so Dakota Biotech. We were founded in 2017 on one simple concept, which was to improve the health of human microbiomes. LaFleur Live Probiotic Skincare is actually manufactured by Dakota Biotech. We're pioneers in developing live probiotic topical formulations that are shelf stable. Dakota Biotech actually knew in 2015 that we had to solve the challenges around using live beneficial bacteria before we could deliver on our mission to cultivate the natural strength and resiliency of the skin microbiome through transformative holistic formulas. So we really wanted to help that skin microbiome cause, and we wanted to give you as estheticians a way to do that for your clients. So we have a couple patents. We have one awarded and some that are pending. And we're just so honored to bring you skincare that can really benefit your clients and their skin microbiomes. So, on our list of topics today, we're going to start with why we are now starting to think about our skin differently. We're going to move on to our skin microbiome, what it is, and why it's so important for skin health. We're going to go through a little clinical research. And then we're going to wrap up today with skincare versus skin health. So we have new tools and technologies now. Back in 1990, the National Institute of Health committed to fund the Human Genome Project, and the goal was to discover the complete set of human genes and make them accessible for further biological study. Having completed a complete set of DNA sequences in 2003, which seems like it was so long ago, but really was not that long ago, the application of these findings have been responsible for a major transformation in how diseases are treated. A really good example of that is actually cancer treatment. Early applications of chemotherapy would kill all cells, cancers and non-cancerous. But with this new DNA sequencing technology, chemotherapies can now be targeted to attack only cancerous cells. What many people don't know is that the NIH actually funded a similar project in 2007. This one was called the Human Microbiome Project, and it had those similar goals as the Genome Project. And now we can use similar DNA sequencing technology to understand the human microbiome better. And just like the Genome Project, the Microbiome Project will fundamentally change how we think about skin health and the products that we apply to our skin microbiomes. It really does all impact your body and your microbiome and your skin health. In 2019, LaFleur was born, and Dakota Biotech commercialized the first luxury live probiotic skincare line to market its debut. We actually debuted at iSpa, and we've come a really long way now that we're in 2024. We have launched something called a skin health test kit, something super exciting. And we partnered with the very same lab that we actually used for our clinical studies to bring you this unprecedented skin health test kit. It's 23andMe for your skin, if you will. It's a simple strip test that the client purchases from you in retail, takes home to register and mail it in, and in 2 to 3 weeks, your clients will receive a comprehensive report and clinically map recommendations on what to do next. This will give you a scientific backing when it comes to creating treatment plans and protocols for your clients. It will allow you to look into the skin microbiome, which has previously been invisible to us as estheticians. This is the new way that you're going to be analyzing your client's skin. So in your recommendations, it's also going to have that professional facial service recommendations and the home care to help you get your clients both that treatment plan and what they need to be doing at home to keep up that work. So this is going to help you support your customers and improve their overall skin health, again, with those science-based recommendations. So you'll have a little bit more of a guide to aid your clients and to just follow and show them, like, this is really what's going on in your skin. All right, so now that we know a little bit more about why we're thinking about our skin differently, let's talk about our skin microbiome, what it is, and why it's so important for skin health. So, before we talk about anything, your skin, it's your largest organ. That's why it's so important. It is your first line of defense. We really need to be taking care of it. And before we can talk about the skin microbiome, you have to understand the purpose of the skin. But I know as skin health professionals, it's really unlikely that I can tell you much about the skin that you don't already know. But what's the actual purpose of the skin? So, the skin is not like a sponge that absorbs everything you put on it. Some people compare it to a sponge. That's not accurate. It's actually a barrier and our primary protection against the environment, including UV. And it will also regulate your body temperature and water loss. Simply and scientifically, it's our body's largest immune organ. So it's essential that you're taking care of it and providing it with the proper tools it needs to protect you. And again, it's not just going to absorb everything. It's there to protect you. So it's always going to try to keep out things that could cause damage to you. So I tell people if you have a product that's not absorbing, there's probably something in it your skin does not like. So that's why it's essential. Just always be thinking about the skin. That is our job. That is our profession. So now our skin microbiome. We get asked this question a lot of what does the microbiome really do? Now we can analyze the skin DNA and provide the real insights. We know that skin hosts a thriving ecosystem and can now identify the top bacterial factors impacting skin health. Through this type of testing and sequencing, it is now known that we need a high level of diversity in the skin microbiome for optimal functioning, and that compromised skin has a lower microbiome diversity. So we need that high bacterial diversity in our skin microbiome for it to truly be able to mend and thrive. And it's impossible to impact the skin without also impacting the microbiome. And this can be positively or negatively. You can either aid the skin or you can harm the skin. So it's really important for us as professionals to know what we're doing is aiding the skin and not harming it. So I like to think of our skin microbiome as the control panel. If we think about it, it's our largest organ and it comes in direct contact with literally everything we encounter. It is constantly throughout the day being bombarded with pathogens and viruses that are just in our environment. So you need to make sure that it is healthy and able to fight those off. And by design and given optimal opportunity, these microbes are working to live in harmony and maintain diversity. They're trying to stay balanced. They're trying to have that harmony. And we need to be mindful of that and mindful of what we're applying to our skin. Because when they're in balance, the skin is smooth, it's supple, hydrated, which is a biggie because hydration means health, and it will appear brighter. But the truth is harsh. We are actually assaulting our little microbiomes every day. The chemicals in cosmetics, makeup, even things like our detergent, they can wash off all of the bacteria, not just the harmful ones. So you're really affecting the microbiome as a whole. And sometimes we are extreme and wipe them out completely with the use of antibiotics or sanitizers. Think about it. If you go to the doctor and they prescribe antibiotics, they're wiping everything out. And they know that, which is why most doctors will tell you to follow up with a probiotic to replace that good bacteria. It's the same in our skin, especially when you do something like a hand sanitizer. During COVID, we were sanitizing our hands more. We had so many people then have issues on their hand and their microbiome because they were wiping away all the bad bacteria, allowing the opportunistic pathogens and viruses to then invade and actually cause harm. So wiping everything out is not always the answer. And if you do, you need to make sure you're then replenishing it with the good. That's the step we need to stop missing as estheticians. Because when we miss that step and the skin microbiome becomes imbalanced, we really need to understand that, because when that happens, that's when we see things like acne, dermatitis, eczema, rosacea, inflammation, irritated skin, dry skin, dehydrated skin, sensitive skin, oily skin, allergy-prone skin, aging skin, sun-damaged skin, on and on. All of these stem from an imbalance in the skin microbiome. So it's essential to know that's the root cause, is that skin microbiome imbalance. Because these are very visible skin conditions and concerns, and it's your body's way of telling you something is wrong. And you might have noticed that there's a rise in these different conditions. You probably see these all the time, though, because even though we have access to all types of products and services that promise to treat them, they can actually sometimes be making them worse if they're too intense. So the reason we're seeing more of these is because we've drastically changed the way we live. By 2050, two-thirds of the global population will live in urban areas with greater exposure to pollution. I lived in the city. I knew the second I walked outside, my face came bombarded with the dirt. And there's construction around me all the time. So all that's kicking up, and there's cars. So I'm getting that pollution. And I know it's affecting my skin. Another thing is our climate is warmer, which is also going to lead to the increase in skin temperature and affect our moisture level. And those warmer climates will also have the higher UV exposure, which will kill the bacteria that our skin so desperately needs. Another thing is the use of hand sanitizer, antibiotics, and antimicrobial products that are wiping out all bacteria, allowing that more opportunistic bacteria to flourish. So again, we are too clean as a society. That whole phrase of rub some dirt in it, that actually had some merit because we need to stop stripping away at that bacteria. When people hear the word bacteria, sometimes they think, oh, gross, we got to get rid of that. But that's not true. There's good bacteria, and that good bacteria is what's controlling your body. And you actually have more bacterial cells than human cells, so you have to feed into that good bacteria. Another thing that can really affect our skin is stress. We have so much more stress, and it really can reduce our immune responses, and that'll make us even more susceptible to skin infections. So we live in a stressed out environment. Our world's a little chaotic, and it shows up in our skin. And the fact that over the past 50 years, we actually decreased our beneficial bacteria by 30%, it's a really big deal. That's a huge chunk. That is why we're seeing all of these different skin conditions more present in the spa industry and why clients are struggling more. And we've seen that corresponding 60% increase in sensitivity and inflammation-based skin conditions globally. It's not just here in the US where people's skin is getting affected. It is a global issue. And finally, the biggest thing is we created skincare products before we lacked the tools to diagnose their true impact on the skin microbiome. Before, it was about just keeping the symptoms away or just targeting the different symptoms, whether it be redness or dryness, or if your skin was oily, you'd have an oily skincare line. They weren't looking at the effects of those products on the skin microbiome or why the microbiome was having those skin issues. And that was a huge mistake because then you're just trying to target the symptoms and you're not getting to the overall cause of it. You want to go to the root cause, which is in the skin microbiome. So you need products that are going to support the skin microbiome. Let's talk some clinical research. Before we start looking at charts and graphs, I want to share some imagery with you. Microbiomes are surprisingly consistent across the natural world. Our microbiomes are like the forests of our skin. They're complex and require diversity to thrive. After major events like wildfires, the forest is completely wiped out, right? So if you wipe everything out, what comes back first? It's the weeds. They're going to come back first because they are more opportunistic, and it takes the more larger plants and trees to grow. It takes them so much longer to grow and to establish diversity and harmony. So I'm not a great gardener. So when I accidentally kill a plant, that plant is gone, but the weeds, they come back really fast, right? Because they're easy, they're opportunistic. Think of those as like those pathogens. They can just overgrow, and then they're going to take resources from that soil that those bigger plants and trees that we really need for that diversity, they're going to have a harder time growing because that nutrient has been sucked out by the weeds. Your skin's similar in that sense. So if we're overwashing and we're stripping and disinfecting, we're actually creating that wildfire. We're wiping everything away on the skin. And that same well-ordered species succession happens here because we are technically part of nature. So we have that same succession. That bad opportunistic pathogens and viruses can take over if we're not careful, if we're just wiping it all away and not replenishing it. But the good news here is that we have learned at Dakota Biotech that we can now seed the skin with that good bacteria to help reestablish the normal skin flora, not leaving it to the next colonizing strain or allowing it a chance to gain to that place of being in distress. So if you can improve that diversity more quickly, you're going to get better results and your clients are going to get that relief. All right, so now into some charts. So we did some imagery. Now let's look at some charts. So here we're taking a clinical look at acne. This study looked at how acne bacteria regrows on the skin. And we compared a typical acne cleanser to a cleanser that is considered to be quote unquote microbiome friendly. The typical acne cleanser acts much like that hand sanitizer where it's wiping out both the good and the bad bacteria, or that forest fire where it's just taking it away. When there's open space available, that more opportunistic pathogens can grow back faster. Where a cleanser that's more microbiome friendly, that does not create the mass disruption of the skin microbiome, it can allow the acne bacteria to not have the space or the resources to overcolonize. So you can see that it's kept that growth of the bad acne-causing bacteria down because it's able to get rid of that while maintaining the good. So another look at acne, again, because it's so prevalent in our spas, it's something we really need to look at. So in 14 days of adding a topical probiotic, and again, this is without doing any invasive treatments, just adding a topical probiotic, we have seen that there's a 50% reduction in acne symptoms. And again, just 14 days and adding just one product. And you'll also have 25% less inflammation. Inflammation is one of the big causes of acne. It can really take a flare up to the next level. So to be able to decrease it this significantly without invading the skin or causing that mass disruption is a huge game changer for both you and your clients. Now let's look at a chemical peel. So we see it's really hard to find a spa that doesn't offer a form of peels. So we want to break that down into what it looks like for your skin microbiome. So what happens when we get a little more aggressive or enter something like a chemical peel? In this study, we actually looked at how typical chemical peels impact the microbiome and what effects the introduction of probiotics may have on the skin. So the peel we use to get these results contains common ingredients found in peels that you can perform at home, in back bar, or even in a clinical environment. The ingredients include glycolic, lactic, citric, and salicylic acids. It's a solution of hyaluronic acid and the Tasmania pepperfruit / leaf extract. And you've all used peels before. It's something that some of us learn in school or you learn after coming into the industry. And the purpose of this peel and most acid peels is to even skin tone, texture, and address congestions of pores, which they actually typically do a really good job of. There's a reason we find these in all of our spas, right? But we actually took a DNA sample over 5 time periods. We took a sample before the peel to get that baseline measurement. We took one immediately after the peel, a day later, 3 days later, and finally that 14 days later. We want to show you what happens quickly in those 14 days. So the blue line is going to show the total amount of DNA on the skin at each time point without adding any products to the skin. And the orange line will show the same time points, but with the addition of probiotics beginning on day 1. So take a look at day 14. The skin microbiome without the treatment did not recover from the chemical peel. That skin stayed in a state of distress. Where the skin microbiome with the probiotics added to it, it's actually going to show that increase in the total DNA on the skin, which means the skin barrier will be stronger, more protective, and more resilient. And it's going to help the skin recover in a series between treatments. Most chemical peels are done in a series. And if you're not aiding the skin in between those treatments, you can actually put the skin into a worse state because they're not being able to recover, or they're going to allow that bad opportunistic bacteria to come in because you're not then introducing the good bacteria because you wiped it out like that forest fire. So you have to reintroduce the good to keep that diversity level correct and to actually get the skin the correct results and improved results. So we'll actually help improve the results you're trying to get through the peel when you introduce that good bacteria after. Let's look at dermatitis. I like this slide because I personally suffer from dermatitis before I added a topical probiotic. And if someone would have told me a long time ago that all I needed was a probiotic, I would have been a much happier camper because I struggled for years. But just in 14 days of using a topical live probiotics, we found that there's a 100% reduction in dermatitis symptoms. I don't know about you, but I'll take 100%. That is very significant. You cannot get more significant than that. There's also a 25% increase in hydration. And as I stated earlier in this presentation, hydration equals skin health. So I really want you to keep that in mind. So being able to offer your clients these kind of results with topical probiotics will be your game changer and will make you a superstar esthetician. I can guarantee you that. All right. So I said we'd wrap up today with a little skincare versus skin health. So let's get into it. So skincare is defined in the Cambridge Dictionary as things that you do and use to keep your skin healthy and attractive. Health is defined as the condition of and the degree to which the host is free from illness and can be measured by a state of well-being. So your skincare is what you apply. Your skin health is what is the outcome of that application. So they work hand in hand. Even though they are different, they go hand in hand. So if you're not careful what you put on your skin as skin care, it is going to affect your skin health. And that's what I want you to understand. If you take one thing away from today's presentation, let it be this. A balanced skin microbiome equals healthy skin. If you can get that microbiome back into balance for a client, they will have healthy skin. That is the root cause. You must get to the root cause when it comes to your treatment plans, because otherwise you're just masking the symptoms. That's a really old-fashioned way of looking at skincare, of just masking the symptoms. You need to go to that root cause, which is in the skin microbiome. Like I said, I'm going to say it one more time. Balanced skin microbiome equals healthy skin. And that skincare, that is still something that is part of our everydays. And it's a lot of our industry. It's a lot of what we do. So you need to be very careful what products you select for your skincare and for your client's skincare. You need to do research on ingredients, because the ingredients you apply are what's being absorbed in by your skin. And if they're harmful, they're going to then cause harm. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. So some ingredients I want you to look out for are things like disodium EDTA, anything that says PEG, things like propylene glycol, butylene glycol, all of these different ones that I'm not going to try to pronounce because those scientific terms, they're crazy. But you really must be vigilant and study your product labels and try to avoid harmful ingredients. There's so much good information out there of what ingredients can be harmful to the skin. And you might be wondering why they're even used. And the reason is because they're easy to use in manufacturing, they're readily available, and they're usually inexpensive. So companies are putting them in to fill up the product, to make it longer shelf stable, but they're actually causing harm and they're not good for our skin. So we need to not only avoid these products, but talk to the companies about getting rid of them. Why are we poisoning our skin? So avoid ingredients that harm the microbiome. That will be a huge factor in your practice. The main one I also want you to look at is perfume or fragrance. I could sit here and talk for an hour about how harmful fragrance and perfume is for the skin. And if you see that in a label, put it down and walk away. You do not need that. You do not need your skincare products or your makeup products to smell pretty. You need them to work and to be good for your skin. That is what's important. Perfume and fragrance are killers to the skin microbiome, and they're actually put as perfume or fragrance so the company can say that they are quote unquote trade secrets and they don't have to tell you what they use to get that fragrance. That is terrifying and that should scare you. Do your research, avoid the bad ingredients, and you will notice a huge difference. So some ingredients you want to actually be looking for. So we've said what not to look for. Now let's talk about what to look for. So there are ingredients that can build and sustain the microbiome. Prebiotics and postbiotics are really commonly found in skincare products, especially in microbiome friendly products, because they provide the resources that the microbiome can use in the form of food, which is what prebiotics is. It's anything, a prebiotic is any ingredient that the good live bacteria in your skin microbiome can digest and use for energy source, because bacteria is alive. And just like you and me need to eat to live, they do too. But I don't want you to be fooled by marketing terms. Prebiotics is a huge variety of ingredients. It can be things like aloe or even enzymes. The Japanese mitten or cleanser is a prebiotic. Almost every product contains prebiotics, but there are better sources than others. So you still have to be vigilant, but just if there's a product that only has prebiotics, that's the only selling point, maybe be aware of it. It might be okay for the skin microbiome and good for it, but don't let them fool you into thinking they're the only one out there with prebiotics. It's a very broad ingredient list. What you really want to be looking for, though, is something called live probiotics. We've all heard this, and we're hearing it more and more. You need the live bacteria, but you need it alive on the skin. The reason for that is only that live beneficial bacteria is going to create something called postbiotics. And postbiotics are what is naturally produced by them. It's things like the vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin C, AHA, BHA, micronutrients, amino acids, antioxidants. All of these things are created through that good bacteria in our skin microbiome. So applying extra will not only boost what's already there, but it will be able to make these properties more readily, because they'll have those extra workers in their workforce to do it. Now, another term I hear a lot, and something that you should be looking for, is something called probiotic extracts, or you can know them by the scientific term of lysate. And they almost actually act as a prebiotic. They're there to support the skin microbiome, but they are not actually the live probiotics that are creating those postbiotic properties. So keep that in mind as you're looking at your products and what you want to bring on. And you really do need all three of those, the prebiotics, live probiotics, and the probiotic extracts, to really get the best benefit for the skin microbiome. So, in today's society, we are really used to looking at labels, and we've been trained to look for certain certifications on products that'll help us make decisions on which ones we want to use. And these third-party certifications are important, because it shows that it's not just the company saying it, they have someone else that's independent from them also looking into it for you to protect you as the consumer. So when you're looking for microbiome friendly products, you want to make sure that they are certified microbiome friendly. So look for that. We're very familiar with the Pita Bunny and the gluten free. We're going to see a lot more of the paraben free one, things like that. So now start looking for that microbiome friendly label as well, or it contains live probiotics, because if there's a live bacteria in there, they need to let you know. So you'll be able to see that on the label. So keep an eye out. You're a professional. You need to learn to read a label. You need to make sure you have these skin health solutions in your spas. The National Institute of Health reports that 60 to 70% of women in the US actually have sensitive skin. Again, we've seen this huge rise. We've been talking about it this full presentation. That's a 55% increase in just the last 2 decades. That's not very long. And that means that nearly every client coming into your spa is going to be sensitive to skincare that contains, again, things like fragrance and common anti-aging ingredients. We see so much more sensitivity, and it's because, one, our products are way too intense. They've ramped it up, but that's not always the best way. And two, because people are stripping their skin more often because they have access to these more intense products or consumables. We actually saw in the results that customers see an incredible reduction in inflammation and irritation when they switch to using a microbiome-friendly skincare system like LaFleur that contains that live probiotic. Skin health is a sustainable solution to improve client outcomes for your customers. Give them this option. Have it ready for them, give them their results, and help get them healthy. That's why they're coming to you. there's something wrong in their skin and they need your help to get it back under control, this is the tool you're going to use to do that. I want to thank you guys so much for going through this with me today. It was an absolute honor to be able to educate a little bit more on the skin microbiome and skin health. It's something I'm very passionate about. If you would like to talk more about this, I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and give me an email. This is mine right here at estutzman@dakotabiotech.com. You can also email wholesale@lafleur.com for more information on our products, protocols, the skin health test kits. Be sure to follow us on social media. We offer a lot of great insights, as well as when we're going to be at a conference or giving a webinar, so you can learn more. We very much care about education here. And thank you again. And I hope you got something from today's presentation.